Well, okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Slangelar and all that.
Yeah.
It's
It's
that
time.
It is time, yeah. It's that crazy time of the year where Mo and I were just saying it's like 10 p.m. here and it's still daylight outside. It's great. I feel like this
Yay.
is this is what life at north of the Arctic Circle must be like. Just 24-hour daylight in the summer. Uh, anyway, here we are, and we had a lovely stream on Thursday night doing
We
open
did indeed.
bar. It was a
Do you know
great
what the main
crew of people.
thing I remember about it was just that for some reason we deviated to ranting hard about the entire Terminator franchise.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, we went off on a good 15, 20-minute tangent. It's
It
great.
to me it's just it shows how much of an open wound that is for me. It's not something I've gotten over and never will get over.
It's a fat like I don't want to get drawn into it, but I can feel myself getting pulled in again. But it's
Hmm.
such a fascinating franchise to talk about because obviously it spans such a long period, and there's so many different eras of movies in the Terminator franchise. There's so many different like takes on it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to look at. We should really do, I don't know, one day like just a retrospective on the whole series because I know we
Because we
talked
did
about like
yeah,
one
we
or
did one
two.
and two, right?
Yeah,
Did we
but
do
just
one
an
and two
overall
together or was that
assessment.
separate videos?
No, it was all together. Yeah, we had this crazy idea of
Really?
doing like a happy hour on both of them, and
Oh
it
my
took about
god.
6 hours or something to do. Um, yeah,
It's so funny,
and
isn't it? Because we would feel at the time of doing that, there you go, that's our coverage. But it's been enough time now that we're like, well,
yeah,
could
totally.
just
Yeah,
do
I
it
feel,
again.
I feel like I can talk about Predator again or Aliens or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Like, there's just certain movies that you can endlessly revisit. But
yeah.
well, anyway, we've got a bunch of super chats that we didn't get through on the night, so I guess we can dive in head first and all that, and
Sweet.
see how we do. So. Uh, yeah, the next one is from Grayson Barnett, who said, "Congratulations on 51 years of live streaming. It's been a good 51 years.
Hell
I
yeah.
started a GoFundMe for my book Merchant of Souls for publishing costs. It's a tragic comedy about a missing persons case gone wrong in a brothel. A lot of things go wrong in brothels, but well, I
Hey,
wish
isn't
you the
that
best of luck.
that's the premise of Andor?
It kind of is, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
it doesn't like begin and end in a brothel, but
No.
you know, it does start there. Obsidian Mug says, seen 13 Lives yet? It came out last year, I think. It would make a good Drinker Recommends video. 13 Lives? I don't think so.
Never heard of it.
No, Mo and I were just talking, though, before this. I finally got around to seeing the menu, and I very much enjoyed
Yes.
that. So I'm very happy with it, and I'll probably do a review on that. So I know people wanted to hear my thoughts on it.
Is that a
Uh,
drinker recommends or a review in general?
I think it'd be a Drinker Recommends. Oh, I've just
Mm.
spoiled it now, actually. But yeah, when it comes to like interesting, thought-provoking, creative movies that don't have too many things I can like criticize about them, yeah, it's right up there. I really enjoyed
Cool.
it. Timothy Finch says, considering that it's Pride Month and all, I'm very proud to be one of those racist overseas viewers who didn't support The Little Mermaid. Well, you absolute bigot, you. Although I think you're in the majority overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, it's just it's not done well in the rest of the world, and it's going to be kind of interesting. I guess tomorrow we might get the sort of second weekend hold on it and find out how well it's done. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, it's the kind of movie that I'm half tempted to show, like, see what my parents think, because they're totally disconnected from everything, right? But they know Little Mermaid, the original. Be interesting to be like, just look at this. Tell me what you think. Think out
Yeah,
loud. To see if they're
just
like, what the fuck?
just play them the Aquafina song.
Yeah, I think that.
I
I legit think my mum would walk out of the room. She'd be like, "Nah, I'm good.
think so. Ah,
I
what
don't
is
understand
this?
you modern kids with your with whatever this is."
Yeah, Mom, no, this is not what anyone listens to. Please.
Not my fault.
Yeah. JS Pena says late and bros. Yeah, we're not as bad as bros, so that's all right. It
Fuck, that movie got fucking memory hold, didn't it?
really did. Yeah, it came and went like a fart in the wind.
Hmm.
Yeah, despite the begging of the fucking director, like, please watch it. Sebastian Anon says, I love Lord of the Rings when Aragorn says, Elvish motherfucker. Yeah, this responded to Black Aragorn, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously just the playing card thing for Wizards of the Coast, so I don't
Right.
suppose we're ever going to see a Black Aragorn in the movies. Although, never say never. I'm
Exactly.
90% sure they won't do that, but you never quite know. Taylor Ramirez says, "Hey Drinker, did you hear about this totally amazing game called Lord of Ring Gollum? I think you should give it a chance. Everyone loves it." Well, Muller and Az love it for sure, so I'm
We
up
have
for it.
completed it now, so we're going to be trying to get Gary to do at least one stream of it. But we would absolutely love to see the Drinker attempt that thing that they call a video game.
Well, I mean, like, it's the system requirements that are going to get me because I've got like an RTX 3060 on this one at the moment. So would that even meet the minimum requirements for
It
Gollum?
should. I think all you need to do, obviously, is to boot it up on lowest, if nothing else, and you should be okay. I think Jay Longbone's specs are lower than yours, and she got it running at least somewhat.
Okay.
Listen, all the people want is like an hour. If they can get that out of here, at least.
Yeah. Was the ending worth it though? Did it live up to your expectations?
I couldn't even tell you what happened. I don't really know. It was weird.
Did it crash?
Gollum strangled the Candleman. There you go. I'm
Okay.
sure that means a lot to you in terms of narrative. So
Right now, I just don't even need to play it anymore. You've ruined it for me.
I'm sorry.
Shirogami says, "Missing House of the Dragon? Yes. Check out the
Yeah.
boobs and murderous medieval machinations of the Tudors from 2007. Christ, is it that old? It features Henry Cavill, Sam Neill, and did I mention boobs? Yes, you did. So sign me up. We need more. We need to make boobs great again in movies."
Yeah.
Vimorian says, "Hey Drinker, any chance you test your new PC by playing Starship Troopers Extermination? Doesn't Az play that? Is that a multiplayer thing?"
Yeah. From what I've heard from him, it's good for what it is, as in like it's not fully released yet. I think.
Okay.
So,
I might put this rig to the test because this is kind of like a mid-level gaming PC. It's not like ultra high end or anything, but
I think that should be fine for Gollum. By the way, you should be alright.
okay. Yeah. It's just going to come down to my gaming prowess.
Yeah, you'll need to call upon all of your skill that you've learned everything from everything to get through that game. It's a tough one.
You know what though? I do. I stand by our logic, right? That if you pick someone like Gary, who's kind of fucking hopeless with video games, like it might somehow cancel out the shittiness of the game, and he'd be awesome at it.
Yeah,
Like somehow it would all like work in harmony, and it would actually be an amazing experience, and everyone would be like, "Oh my god, this is how the game was meant to be played."
a game designed not by gamers for not gamers.
Yeah. Krusty Juggler says, "Question: Have you ever been in a cockpit before?" Follow-up question: Ever seen a grown man naked?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen myself naked, so yeah, I have actually been in cockpits before on various planes. I've even been in a Spitfire cockpit, which was very cool.
It was like Timmy, right? That's what made it even more funny. Just was it Billy? I don't know. Every sentence began as like, "Have you ever
Timmy.
seen a grown man naked?"
Ever been to a Turkish prison? Patrick Mulligan says, "Hey Drinker and Mueller, here is another vote for Destiny as a guest. The discussion would be fun. Also, please do a video on the live-action Cinderella." Yeah, so apparently that's the good one. That's the live-action
That's
movie
what I hear. Yeah,
they did a good job with.
not seen it myself, but maybe be curious to compare that one to the original. So.
Yeah. Sophie says 199. Hail, nice. Blue Team Epsilon. What is this 199 stuff, by the way?
That I believe is oh fuck, I'm gonna mutilate the meme, but I'm paraphrasing the meme, okay? So I think Geeks and Gamers were doing a stream about how Star Wars was fucked because of Mandalorian or something like that. This is gonna be wrong, but I'll get the essence, the important part I'll get right. So they made a comment about how it was dead because of the sequels off of Disney's acquisition being 2014, 15. And then someone in chat, I think, wanted to say it was dead as of 1999. The comment obviously being the beginning of the prequels. But instead they said 199, as in 199. And they were like, it died in 199 or something. I think that's what it... I could be fucking butchering this. That's my memory of what Jeremy said. It was just funny, the idea that Star Wars died in 1999. That's when it died.
It's weird. Okay, well, at least it wasn't, because I was starting to get vibes of like, oh shit, I'm turning into Sargon, who just doesn't remember, like, doesn't know anything about pop culture.
The 199 Club.
Right. So this is like a pretty obscure one that's just geeks and gamers centric. All right, that's fair enough. Blue Team Epsilon says, "Hello, Drinker. Hello to you. Got a question. I could have sworn I saw a drinker recommends There Will Be Blood, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Have I gone crazy, or did it get removed, or something? I think that's the Mandela effect working its magic on you, mate, because I've not done a drinker recommends on that. No, not yet. I mean, I probably would give it a recommends because it's a really good movie, but
Yeah.
yeah, never done it yet. Patrick Mulligan says, if all the live action Disney remakes were as good as Cinderella, although he said food instead of goods, so maybe that's what he was going for, we would be in a new Disney renaissance. Ask Jeremy and Shad, they will confirm. Yeah, I mean, I guess this was before the era of modern Disney, I suppose. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Cinderella was like one of the last really good movies that they put out. Not sure.
Maybe.
Maybe it was generational things, something like that. What's that? Pentis Pooley says, thanks Despot for recommending Three Body Problem. Fair play. That Performer 387 says, what's up, drinker? Disney Plus just greenlit a new German show called Pauline. It's about a teenage girl who gets knocked up and pregnant by none other than Satan himself. I ain't making this shit up. I mean, nothing surprises me about Disney at this point.
Saying gets around.
Gordon Cadell says, we like to eat fish and chips, not watch it. I'm not sure what that's a reference to, but okay. Big Flippin' Boss says, part 2 of Wesker making Chris look racist. With your best Wesker impression, you must say, Chris, you're on the wrong side of history for gunning down these African citizens. They're just hungry. There you go.
Well, if I gotta do it too, or is it just you? Can we get away with that?
You can do it too.
But I need it to be written in front of me if I'm gonna do that.
I'll say it. Chris, you're on the wrong side of history for gunning down these African citizens. They're just hungry.
Chris!
You're an act.
The thing is, I've already forgotten it. That's my problem. I fucking...
Oh, you call yourself a voiceover artist, honestly.
I always have the script in front of me.
Alright, I'll let that one go. SBZ says, how do you do, fellow rating freedom fighters? We're doing fine, thank you.
Yeah.
Reesvo says, I love Despot's Rings of Power videos. Some of the funniest and unique Rings of Power reviews that I've watched. Hats off to you, sir. Giga Sauron is my favourite. Yeah, if I don't know, Muller, if you've seen any of his stuff, but his reviews of Rings of Power were fucking brilliant. Like, he's really funny.
I am unfamiliar, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so Despot of Antrim, obviously we had him on just on Thursday, but yeah, look him up because he's covered most of the same stuff that I've done, and you know, most of the rest of us, and he does it in a really funny way. So yeah, I definitely recommend him. Steam Plague the Explorer says, why do you guys think that Andor didn't perform well? On Reddit and in real life, everyone I've seen enjoyed it. I think streaming services need to be transparent with their ratings. How do you think that will happen? So yeah, first up, like, why do we think it didn't do well?
I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times, right? It's
Yeah.
It didn't have. So there's a couple decisions you can make for what you're going to make for a thing for people to watch. The fact that it's Star Wars as an IP means that you'll get some people watching it. But then you need to appeal, if you want, like, hyper to the fans of Star Wars by using characters they really want to see, i.e., Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Vader, blah blah blah. And so it's like, okay, so what does this show got? And it's like, well, almost neither of them. The Star Wars fans are already sad about everything in the state of Star Wars, and you're releasing something about a character that nobody really cares about, a prequel to a prequel. It's like, so that's a really bad start. Then it's like, it's after notoriously bad shows. It's like it's seen as a part of them, like it's the next one sort of thing. So it's like, okay, yeah, no, I've had enough shit delivered from you. I don't want any more. And then, unfortunately, it is a little bit slow to start for a lot of people. So even that the people who actually gave it a shot gave up, and that they come away with a bad taste and tell other people, like, eh. So it's like everything's working against it. It's kind of the perfect storm. If anything, we probably, if we knew nothing about its success or the whole thing, and then we're asked to predict how well it would do, I unfortunately would probably be like, oh, I don't know, this one's probably risky.
Yeah. Well, pretty much what he said. There's not really much I can add to that. Like Mahler said, we've discussed it before, and kind of gone into the reasons. And it's a shame that you know, that's the case because, as we've said, you know, it's one of the best shows that they've put out, and yeah, it's a shame it didn't get more coverage, I guess. Derek says, if they make a Legend of Zelda movie, I hope it's darker and less cartoonish in tone. I'd rather Nintendo didn't take the Marvel approach of making all their movies the same tone so that they can build up to Smash Brothers. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess I'd like to see a fairly serious take on Zelda. I don't want to see quippy humor and all that. 81 Zadoom says, thank you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Ryan says, Mediaite posted a gaslighting article saying that Mermaid was doing great despite the attacks. Yet when you read the article, it admits that it only domestically and it was tanking overseas. What bullshit. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the media is going to run cover for this one. They really wanted to do well,
Yeah.
and it's not. And ultimately, the box office numbers aren't going to lie. So we'll see how it ends up, but it's not looking good. Kyle Kernan says, Muller, you should do an EFAP review of the Phantom Menace EFAP debate video. That debate was a shit show.
It was. Why the fuck would we want to cover it though? That sounds even worse. It's just a part of history now.
John Thomas says, Rogers and Hammerstein's Cinderella is the best live action. Yeah, we're hearing that a lot. Mike Humsills says, 250 million, well spent. I guess that was Little Mermaid. Yeah. They ain't going to be getting that back. Normie says, I recently binged some Brit TV sitcoms. IT Crowd, Peep Show, In-Betweeners, Spaced, Toast of London, Fresh Meat, Father Ted. My top are IT Crowd and Peep Show. What about you, gents? Any suggestions?
So, what was there a more specific? Was it just British TV shows, or was it something more
I
specific?
think, yeah, British sitcoms probably. Like any ones that he's not named. Anything else we can recommend to him?
Was Blackadder and Faulty Towers in there?
No.
Well, those are like my top two. So,
Yeah.
I do love Peep Show, and well, I love all the ones he mentioned that I've seen. But I adored Blackadder. Season 3 and 4 were fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, Father Ted gets a strong recommendation from me. What about the others? Red Dwarf. I would say if you're at all into sci-fi, that's great fun. And probably Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
All of those good fun. And yeah, Faulty Towers and Blackadder as well for sure. Austin Ewer says, Hi Drinker and friends, I wanted to ask if any of you had all had my favourite silent films. If not, I highly recommend the sci-fi epic Metropolis. Yes, that's the Fritz Lang one from back in the 20s, I think. Obviously an incredible movie for its time, and yeah, very interesting now. The one that I've referenced before when people ask me about anime, that there's a sort of anime version of Metropolis that was made back in 2003. It follows some of the same beats as the old movie, but obviously it's been kind of changed and altered a bit. But yeah, that's a fantastic film as well, just for a slightly different take on it. Darkus Aurelius says Aquafina's song bit was as offensive as the barbarians' invasion in our great Roman Empire. It really was. It's probably responsible for more deaths as well. Gordon Cadell says Scottish, English, Welsh, and Irish full house. Yes, we did it. We did it the
That
other
is
night.
true. We should
Mauler.
have acknowledged that. I feel bad. We've
We
done it
should have
before,
done, yeah.
though. We did it with. Didn't we have Dave Cullen and? Did we have an English guy at that point?
I
Was
don't
Az
know if
there?
we. No, I don't know if we did back then, and that's the tricky part. I feel like we might have had Robert Meyer Burnett on because we were doing Star Trekky stuff.
Damn it. Well, okay,
Yeah,
we've done it now, though.
yeah, we've achieved it. Mr. Nobody says Despot describing the Harfoots as a mongoloid race of simian rodents put him on the fast track to being one of my favorite YouTubers. That line was pure gold. His videos are filled with stuff like that. It's great. Wen W says, Hail Drinker, Mauler, and guests. Seeing all your faces at 6 a.m. in Adelaide has set me up for a brilliant day of writing. Love you all. Nah, good stuff, man. I hope you had a productive day.
Yeah.
Macrodose says Fox News approved formula is Disney. Not sure what that is. David Glazer says, have you guys heard of the revised lyrics to Kiss the Girl? Sha-la-la, my oh my, don't be a rapist, guy. You gotta get consent. Okay. David Lamplow says, if you haven't seen Flash Gits, you should check it out. They recently did a skit satirizing Disney's casting choices. Gingers are classed as double white. We can't cast any of them.
Double white.
I mean, they are very pale, so yeah, I can see that.
But Flash Kids is it's a pretty edgy, fun channel. I'm surprised sometimes they get away with what they do.
Sentinel Rex, why are all of Ariel's sisters different races? I don't know. Triton gets around, obviously.
Yeah,
I know I won't take in that they are magical fish people as an answer. Biology is a constant no matter of the medium. Yeah, it's interesting. I think I like to imagine that Triton just like murders his wives and he's like, oh no, my wife passed away. I need to move on to the next one, and it's like Henry VIII sort of thing, and then he's just sired a whole bunch of children all across the ocean.
I can just picture him as well being the kind of character that when you meet his family and see that, you go, "Wait, how?" And he goes, "What? What?" And you're like,
Yeah,
Nothing, nothing at all, nothing at
yeah.
all."
Samael says magic made Aylmer white and Eowyn very black, despite the fact that they're full siblings. Yeah, it's just magic, of course. Sean Calloway says, in my head canon, Ursula is caught in an infinite time loop where every time she's killed, she restarts at the beginning of the story in a different timeline, doomed to try the same things over and over again. I mean, yeah, you can go with that, sure. Um, Alypius says, I can't believe they got Yoko Ono to rap in The Little Mermaid. Ooh.
Crazy, huh?
Sam Wallace Art says, D&D Honor Among Thieves looks and feels more like a Disney cartoon than anything that they've made in decades. Yeah, it's pretty good fun. I don't know if you've seen it more.
Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was like great, but I can definitely see why people were saying this is nowhere near as bad as anyone expected it to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a really normal film. I would have expected to see something like that in 2005,
Yeah.
and I'd have been
No,
like,
that's
"That's
that.
fine."
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's funny. Like nobody has strong opinions about it. I don't think there's many people out there that absolutely adore it or anything. But it's like the prevailing wisdom is just like, yeah, it was fine.
I
Like
mean,
you
I
should.
think I think I would recommend it if you have spare time and you just want to have a little bit of fun. But it's not like I don't think you're gonna come out of it being like, "Well, good thing I saw that." You'll be like, "Well, okay."
Yeah. Like you say, I think that's the perfect title of your like. If you ever did a review, it's like it's a perfectly normal film. You
Yeah.
know, just a general movie. Darkus Aurelius, the Little Mermaid characters use the same mode of transport as characters in the Rings of Power. Star Trek's Transporter is put to shame here. Yeah, they do get around, that's for sure. G says guarantee Vin turns the third part of Fast 10 into the fourth Fast X, but it'll technically be the third Triple X. Yeah, I've heard rumors about this that he wants to try and merge the Triple X franchise with Fast and the Furious.
But how?
I don't
His
know.
character is living completely different lives, unless they're brothers or some shit.
They'll put him into witness protection or something, and he has to start a new life as an extreme sports guy.
That won't be cringe. That'll be very good.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is the Triple X franchise so successful that it needs to be folded into Fast and the Furious? Like, is
Or is
that
Vin
something
Diesel
that
just like more?
if he was really ballsy, he would fold it into the Pitch Black movies.
Hell yeah, get
You know,
Riddick
like
in there.
it's, I love it. Like Dominic Toretto just gets blasted off into space and like, goes on all these crazy sci-fi adventures. um, Jay Salty Beaver says, watching 30 minutes behind, happy to join the bar with my Jim Beam and Coke. Nice. P.S. As far as Texas drinks go, you can't go wrong with a Shiner Bock. Cheers. I don't mind Shiner Bock, actually. It's a decent beer. OMG Puppies says, three underrated sci-fi films. Dark City, yes, that's pretty good. Gattaca, nah. And The Nines. The Nines, which is Ryan Reynolds and Melissa McCarthy, is very unique. I haven't seen The Nines, actually.
Ryan Reynolds and Melissa McCarthy. Okay.
Doesn't sound like a winning combination, especially for sci-fi. What the fuck?
Hey, maybe they'll prove us wrong, and we'll see it and be
Maybe.
like, "Holy shit, it's
Yeah.
amazing."
Damn, it's like, yeah, Drinker recommends instantly. Noah's Ark Creative says, oh, you inebriated, pompous bastard, yet philosophical truth seeker, I hear you say. Do you think the line between entertainment and art is becoming larger, or has it always been this way, and social media and agendas exaggerates the public perception? I mean, entertainment and art, like, are they fundamentally different? So they're just...
I suppose what's the
It's,
problem? Does that come down to intention, or is that down to how the audience take a thing? Because you can be entertained by all kinds of things. You get
I
entertained
would...
by a fish flopping on the ground. Like it's
See,
So
instead
any
of
art piece, could theoretically entertain.
I mean, I might have said content rather than entertainment because that's what a lot of what we have now is. It's like content fulfilling a need just to get more stuff out there,
Just
and
to
it's like,
pass
well,
time and instead of enjoy your time.
yeah, and then you can argue like, well, what is the artistic merits of this versus some like indie movie that was lovingly crafted on zero budget. That's I
Hmm.
guess the difference. So yeah, it's definitely become more pronounced recently, just because one, movies cost a lot more to make, and two, there's a demand for streaming services just to have more stuff out there. So I guess that's where it comes from there. Not tied up in Ezra Miller's hotel room says Disney set the film on the island of Dr. Moreau. I think they should definitely do that.
Yes.
Hippofish says, what's that? Unhad Dani, counterfeit 20, drugs I took plenty, now I can't. Oh, God. Not even going to finish that one. Purple Thighs says, they changed the horse color too. It was white and animated, now it's black. I can't believe this. Sam Wallace Art says, Eric's boat maneuver is a skill check to show he's capable enough to be a husband. Without that, you get a culture where guys aren't encouraged to be good at anything, and no one likes skillless men. Yeah, man, Napoleon Dynamite pretty much hammered that home. Guys have got to have skills. But yeah, it served a purpose in the plot as well because it taught King Triton that humans could be good. They could be willing to sacrifice their lives for other people, and that's helped him to get over his suspicion of them. But in this one, nah, he just doesn't get to do anything, so kind of becomes a bit pointless. Although Triton's been reduced to dust by that point anyway, so fucking nothing makes sense in this new movie. John the Man Good says, this is a question for the panel, or whoever's left anyway. Hollywood writers are striking, but the other writers in the rest of the world aren't. Why? Also, what can writers learn from the others? I mean, they're not part of the American Writers Union, so I guess they don't have to strike. Which kind of makes you wonder.
Maybe the spirit of the question is like, so the writers are striking because they're not being paid enough, / don't have enough confidence in contracts or assurances and stuff. I guess everyone in the rest of the world does. And it's like, oh, maybe. I could imagine they're uniquely treated badly in Hollywood, but simultaneously, I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah. Yeah, neither of us are experts on particularly the kind of deals that different unions get across different parts of the world. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there. Luke R says, "Great lineup tonight, drinker. Thank you. It's like the start of a good joke. An American, an Irishman, an Englishman, and a Scotsman, and one long man walk into a bar." There we go. Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Matt Armchair says, "Yo, drinker and gang, have you ever watched Lucky Number 11? Your thoughts? What a banger." Yeah, I've seen it. I thought it was pretty good.
I
quite
quite enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a long time, though. I might rewatch it.
Yeah, but no, decent enough movie. Macrodose says, Red Guards are from Yokuda originally. Okay, nice. Sam Gilly says, when you cover Indy 5, you should get Michael from Retro Blasting on. He has encyclopedic knowledge of the franchise. Mauler's been on a stream with him once. Is this true?
What was the name again? Sorry?
Michael from Retro Blasting.
I think I was on a stream with him, but we're talking like years ago, I think. There's a stress in my memory banks. But yes, I suppose.
So apparently he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of the Indiana Jones franchise.
Makes sense. There's a lot of people out there who do. They are pretty neat films.
I tell you, man.
All 3 of them.
Yep, that's all there was. When that movie comes out, though, we're going to be busy, I suspect.
We will be upset.
Yes.
It's the most likely outcome.
Thing is, once you separate yourself from it, like, emotionally, it's like, this isn't an Indiana Jones movie, it's just fan fiction. Then it becomes a lot easier to handle.
Fan fiction from a greedy corporation.
Oh, yeah. Sinami says, just saw No Country for Old Men, and it has almost entirely unsatisfying payoffs, which for me makes it hard to enjoy. Yes, but that's kind of the point.
So that's the age-old discussion about that film. If you check all of the reviews that are negative, it's the I didn't get my fight at the end. I didn't get to watch. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, I guess, but because it's a really fucking good movie and you should see it. Anyone who's listening right now. You didn't get the thing that you would expect to get, and the problem, I think, because I rewatched it relatively recently with Fringy, I really think part of it is they do such a good fucking job of proving to you in that movie that they could have given you that. They could have shown you everything. They had the power and talent to do so, but that's not the story they were telling. And I
Like,
love the story they tell.
well, it's all predicated on like this events of the events of this story are taking place now in a world that's changing, and it doesn't provide like the good guy triumphs over the bad guy kind of story that's nice and satisfying like you would get in previous generations. It's No Country for Old Men, so it makes sense that you don't get that satisfying payoff. So I'm fine with it. It's like that's what they're going for here. But the follow up part to this says, how do you separate your lack of enjoyment of a story from the meta quality of the movie?
Lack of enjoyment from meta quality. Well, it wouldn't be meta quality; it'd just be quality. And yeah, it happens. I've got to imagine there's some examples you might be able to pull yourself, Drinker. But there are films that I've seen that I recognize are very good, but I just don't care, and I didn't connect with it.
Yeah.
There are films like some. I'm trying to think of like more famous ones. I
Well, I
think
mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey might be an example of this, where like I recognize that it's a fantastically made movie, but I wasn't exactly gripped by it because, and this is partially by design, but like the main characters are not particularly likable. They're kind of robotic in their own way, and you know very flat in their delivery, so you don't really empathize with them all that much, and so yeah, you get that detached quality to it, but I recognize how well made of a film it is, and so maybe that's part of it, I suppose.
yeah. I mean, because I was gonna say like I have no problem with people saying they find Blade Runner boring. I'm like, okay. The problem becomes a problem when they say that's bad and the film is bad for it and it should be better. It's like, whoa, it is a masterpiece. It's okay that you don't find it engaging. That's totally
I
fine.
just I would love to talk to someone who finds Blade Runner boring.
There's
Like
loads of people who do.
genuinely.
It's famously considered a slow film, and that's why partly why it flopped. But like, good God, Blade Runner is like foundational for the discussion on like what it means to be human.
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah. I mean, like I presume these people have never heard of like the noir genre of movie.
I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. I feel like you can find anything boring, you can find anything exciting. It's just try not to do the thing where you take the next step because you feel the need to further justify by going and you know what, it's bad. You're like whoa 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Because understanding. I guess that's from what I'm trying to do is answer the question of understanding the craft involved, but simultaneously acknowledging you didn't get anything from it personally, which is totally okay.
Yeah. But that, I guess that's part of our job as critics is like, yeah, to be detached from it a little bit and objective and say, like, yeah, well, all the elements worked really well.
Yeah.
And you can comment on like, well, I didn't personally connect with it for this reason, and maybe that points to like a certain problem with it, or maybe it's just me, but it's worth exploring, I suppose.
Actually, because we were covering on the previous EFAP, Cinema Sins and Cinema Wins, right? And you know the problem with Cinema Sins, like a lot of people do. He's criticized by basically everyone on the internet at this point. Cinema Wins is the exact same in reverse, or just flipped. Like he has the exact same approach. It's actually kind of uncanny. He just does it for positive reasons. And it was so annoying because there was so many times he was talking about Multiverse of Madness, and he'd be like, this scene happening, this character feeling this way is good. And then it's like a ding, and it's like, well, isn't your job to tell us why? Like
Mm.
I don't need you to tell me it's good or that you like it. There's a scene where he says like the whole all of the Illuminati getting killed is fantastic, and I don't care if you want to try and convince me otherwise.
Yeah,
And it's just like
it's like you're
okay,
you're yeah. Then you're not really making anything of value because you're not providing any evidence to support what you're doing. You're just giving your personal opinions.
yeah, which it's like you can do that, but I just don't know what value your video has at that point other than affirmation. Which, by
Well,
the way, is the most common thing people are looking for in videos. I hate to say it, it's true, and I would be a victim of that myself to some degree. You want to hear someone have the same perspective of you, but I find it wholly unsatisfying if I thought, let's say, for example, the new Indiana Jones movie was awful. If Drinker's video comes out and I watch it and he just goes, Indy does this, and that's awful, and this happens, and that's awful, and this is awful, and the film is just awful. It's awful, awful, awful. Subscribe. That to me, I'm just like, I think you need to do a little more than that, don't you?
um, Timothy Finch says it's a very Emperor's New Clothes moment when everyone goes along with the woke ideology because they believe that everyone else already is. I mean, well, yeah, it's certainly in Hollywood. Like I think anyone's afraid to question anything that happens. So it's an interesting situation they're in. Shan Wickersims says, on the £5 used last week to use up your time that you're not getting back, last year I found £5 at the cafe in front of Whitby Abbey. I bought a big issue in front of a Waitrose in Whetstone with it, but if I had used it for evil, it wouldn't have cost me anything. That is a very good point, actually. Yeah, and that was
Okay,
for
all right.
$100 Australian, so thank you very much. But yeah, he's probably right, actually. Yeah, if you find money and you use it for evil, well, it didn't cost you anything because you wouldn't have had it in the first place. So, fair play. That's the power that you wield. TKSCH says, I'm a guy who likes fat chicks and don't find Lizzo attractive. Her acting was worse than her looks and she somehow got nominated for an Emmy. That is straight up bullshit. I mean, it's beyond farce, really, in terms of Star Wars at this point. Aitken says, an orc stole Anduril. Yeah, sure. Best name I can think of says, I don't care what they say. My grandma says that Aragorn is black. That's good enough for me. I'm convinced. Mark of Reality says they should live action remake Mulan only with all black actors, then try to see how much money it makes in China. That'd be interesting. Waylon Pacificus says, when I was little, my grandma told me she doesn't care what the lore says, Aragorn was black. Then again, she was also a schizophrenic, so who knows? Yeah,
I trust you.
I love that Cleopatra documentary. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Michael Marcotte says it almost annoys me more that they put Norse runes from Google on the Sword Tolkien made languages for this stuff. Let's put ancient Greek script on the One Ring. Yeah, just lazy. No one cares at this point, it seems. Beanpot says in 2020, Wizards of the Coast banned some of the original cards for general cultural insensitivity. Be a real shame if the Lord of the Rings cards got held to the same standard. Yep. Um, as far as I know, Wizards of the Coast are a bit of a joke at this point. I don't know how they keep getting access to all these properties, but damn, they don't seem to be doing them justice. AJ Matheson says, how do you think the likes of Kubrick or Orson Welles or Hitchcock would be in movies today? Today's movie making environment full of safe spaces and therapists. I mean, Stanley Kubrick would destroy pretty much any modern actor at
It
this
sounds like
point.
I'm
He
joking, but they'd be cancelled. They would have fucked up. An actor would have complained about them by now.
probably,
Uh,
yeah.
they're from a very older era. The way they would have done stuff is much more ruthless and very like the art comes first. Nothing else comes before it.
Yep.
So, not even humanity.
Yeah. Sean Calloway says, I'm not one to dismiss anyone's need for mental health help, but as a US Army combat veteran with multiple deployments, it's hard to hear somebody cry that they need a therapist on the set of a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different. It's a completely different world that these people live in, and it's kind of a clown world, really.
Hmm.
Um, Nate the Scot says a guy called Nick Page has already done a short animated cartoon along to the audio clip, and it's absolutely great. Very new Newsgrounds reminiscent. This must be the Christian Bale rant.
Right.
We
Yeah.
were we were putting out a plea for some kind of animated thing to accompany it, but it's been done. T1S says, Hail Open Bar. Awesome panel today, but brace yourselves, lads. Pride Month is upon us. Love the stream and love you all. No homo. Thank you. We love you too, man. Macrodose says Tom Cruise does zero movies that he doesn't produce. I think that's kind of the case now, isn't it? He's pretty much got control of the films that he's in.
Apparently, he's mad about Oppenheimer and Barbie taking up slots for IMAX.
I don't blame him. How the fuck is Barbie a thing?
So that's the
Honestly.
thing. A lot of people have been saying, like, okay, Oppenheimer. I mean, Nolan is going to be making it so that it takes full advantage of IMAX. So that's one thing. But Barbie, like, do you need Barbie and IMAX?
Yeah. It's a strange world we're in. I Slaters says for Ultimate Actor stunts, check out Michelle Yeoh riding a motorbike on top of a moving train in Police Story 3. Did she actually do that? If so,
Possibly. I know that
fucking
she
nice.
really tried to do everything herself in a lot of his stuff to just prove that she could.
Because she can actually fight, can't she? You
Yeah,
know,
I'm pretty sure.
she's a real martial artist. Nice, I like that. She's about 60 years old, but she doesn't give a fuck. Um, Alipius says, Lord of Demrangs, Return of the Kang. Nice. David says, no one wants The Rock to be the biggest movie star in the world more than The Rock. Yeah, very true.
Mm.
William Morrison says, hey now, I do remember a single McDee's experience. There's this one time I went to get a Big Mac after work before going through rush hour to watch EFAP, only to find that they forgot the patties in my Big Mac. That is fucking unheard of. I've never had that happen in my life. I mean,
Yeah, it does sound.
it's got to be a worst case scenario, really, isn't it? Like you get
Mm.
home and you got your Big Mac and there's no fucking burgers in it. Um, excuse me. Jan Happy says the new Jumanji movies are actually pretty good. I like The Rock a lot in that one. Jack Black is the star, though, of course. The movies are funny and original without disrespecting the older one. I mean, fair enough. I don't think they've got any real cultural impact. You know, they're just more disposable
They kind of,
movies.
I'd say they're better than, but kind of the same as the Dungeons and Dragons movie, where it's like, well, oh, there was some stuff in there that made me laugh, and some stuff in there that made me go, huh, not bad.
Yeah, and it's like I can just go away and leave it and never think about it again. Kind of like going
Hmm.
to a fast food joint. Um, Timmy 01, sorry, Timmy 04, get it right, drinker. Muller, what are your favorite milkshake flavors?
Hmm. What would I pick? Probably like something, I don't know, like when they do like the brand ones, like Oreo or whatever. Like I wouldn't gun for like vanilla or strawberry necessarily, but cookies and cream milkshake or something. I don't really know. I guess I don't know if those count. Do they?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably pretty much anything, I guess.
Yeah, probably that. The more sugar, the better, and then the more regret.
Yeah. There's a really good milkshake place near where I live. And I'm trying to remember what like one of my favorites one. I think it would have been something like yeah, I think it was probably blueberries and Oreos mixed together, and it makes for a hell of a good combination. Yeah, something like that is pretty good. Yeah, there was another one. It was like honeycomb or something. Mm. Anyway, I'm getting lost in the world of milkshakes. He's also saying, "Are you guys dessert people? If so, what desserts do you enjoy?" I'll tell you what I enjoy: a Black Forest Gâteau, and
Hmm.
that puts me in the minority these days. But I really like that combination of like chocolate and sponge and cherries and cream and stuff. And yeah, I
I'm
like
pretty
that.
chill with most. I'm trying to think of which ones I don't like I hate or anything. I'm mostly chill. I don't have a particular preference though. It's kind of weird.
I don't like if I'm out for a meal or something. I'd probably rather have a starter than a dessert. Like I guess I
Yeah, yeah.
prefer savory stuff rather than sweet stuff. But
I think
yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with that as well. Yeah.
Um, Geek Factor says with Terminator Salvation, I think it's just that after Genesis and Dark Fate, we've grown to appreciate the one movie who tried to do something different than X comes back in time to kill Y protected by Z. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. Um, it was still in the Terminator universe, but it was kind of a more of a war movie than a traditional Terminator film, which was fine. I think the formula had become a bit stale by that point. So yeah, like I said on Open Bar the other night, I watched Salvation again fairly recently, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. And I thought this is actually not too bad. Maybe I judged it too harshly before,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it kind of I don't know. It broadly adheres to the chronology of the Terminator movies, you know, up until that point,
Yeah, it's
and
trying to
then
fill in. It wanted to fill in some blanks in terms of like what happened around here, but it also wanted to surprise you. Be like, yeah, I bet you didn't
yeah,
see the Sam Worthington Terminator coming. And you're like, yeah, no, I didn't.
yeah,
Like,
no one wanted to.
eh.
Um, Gordon Cadell says, "Look at all James Cameron movies, and they are all love stories. Weird, eh? They're yeah, pretty strong thread that runs through it. Like,
What about T2?
Well, I mean, if you get the extended cut where you've got like the Linda Hamilton or sorry Sarah Connor, pining after Kyle, and you get the sort of dream sequence with him. There's still that love there, but it's like the mourning for love that's been lost, I suppose.
I mean,
And
I'm
yeah,
willing to buy it with as a sort of almost like a surprise thing about like, oh yeah, Terminator One is very much about those two and Titanic, obviously, True Lies, like and
Avatar.
The Abyss. I think you can argue you got Ed Harris and his ex-wife. I'm not sure if
Well,
that's
yeah, they're
enough.
reconnecting, aren't they? So
But I don't know about T2. T2 feels like you're real stretching it at that point. Like it's because it's just a relationship those two have. And I think does he get one or two scenes, Michael Bean in it, or just the one in the extended?
I think just the one in the extended cut, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a slightly different case, but yeah,
Unless
generally, I think with James Cameron, it's like I don't know how to put this. Like, for the most part, he's not a terribly like complex or like innovative storyteller. Like, it's fairly basic elements, like you know, love story set against like a big like epic conflict. Lots of action sequences, like all that stuff. Works perfectly well for him, and it's just like putting in like fairly simple elements, but just doing them really well.
Yeah,
I
if
suppose
by
you,
love story they've just been these characters that love each other, then that's in everything. Yeah, but that's mostly in everything anyway.
yeah. I guess Aliens is another like slight anomaly in that there's not a romance in it strictly. It's like,
Well, nor Alien, right?
yeah, but that's not Cameron who did
Oh
that.
shit! Sorry, yeah, you're right. My brain got melted there.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose the love there is a maternal love between
That's what I was
Ripley
going to
and them.
say. If they want to count it that way, then sure. But
Um, Anyway, Victor Ajax says, interesting point around power and who wields it. Around 1 hour into the video, I would say that true power lies with the individual. Cool, okay. Intelligent Crayonator says, speaking of Alan Richardson, he was good with the comedic material in Blue Mountain State as well as killing it with Reacher. BMS could not be made nowadays. Blue Mountain State. Yeah, I haven't seen that one actually. But I do like Alan Richardson. I think he's going to do good things. Diano says, Cameron says that he's planning on writing a new Terminator movie but wants to see how recent innovations in AI shake out before finishing. Just don't. Just
just
don't do
don't.
any
No, yeah,
more.
I don't think he can do it anymore. I don't trust his writing anyway. After the two avatars, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
Stay away.
Arnold's not willing to do it anymore, and he's too old
He probably
anyway.
would if
Like,
James Cameron was doing it, though.
I mean, fucking maybe, but what can he physically do at this
No, I
point
know.
anyway?
He's gonna be. Most of the scenes will be standing and saying things.
Yeah. I just want to see that franchise stop.
Yep.
Just stop now.
Just like Predator, just like Alien.
Yep.
Let them rest.
Dr. Mubb says all Skynet had to do was create an army of sexy, scantily clad female Terminators to seduce all the men and slaughter the remaining women. Easy checkmate humans, boobs always win. I mean, that's true. They're
Kind of
not
do.
wrong.
It's not a joke.
I did like that scene in T3 where she like sees like a billboard thing and it's like a big
Yeah.
model with like boobs and she just makes hers go bigger to get a good reaction out of the police officer. I was like, that's pretty good. Nice one, Terminator. Zoinks says Shirley Manson was the best Lady Terminator. Oof. Adam Wofford says the TV series handles it better, sending them back but not messing with the timeline, but also building up their forces before Judgment Day. Yeah, people keep talking about the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and I just
I
don't
never
care.
saw it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it just seemed cheap compared to what we had with the movies, and I don't know. I just didn't want to go down that road. Lagging says T3 and Salvation are poorly adapted from a trilogy of novels that followed up T2 written by S.M. Sterling. I really enjoyed the books. I did not know that
I
actually.
didn't know that.
No Quarter Mercy or No Quarter No Mercy says the Blue Jays player wasn't forced. He had a choice and decided money was more valuable to him than his personal integrity and religious convictions. What is that we're talking about there? The Blue Jays?
Don't
I
know.
don't know. Cisco Castillo says, wanted to know what you thought of the movie Shattered from 1991 with Tom Berenger and Bob Hoskins. Great thriller with a good cast. I don't know, actually. I've not seen Shattered.
Not
I don't
seeing
think...
it.
Sorry, man. Victor Ajax says, I miss what sci-fi fantasy action used to be, a common ground where everyone could come together from all corners of the spectrum, political, religious, and ethical. Yeah, I mean, I think we all miss that, really, and that's all we want to see. I just want to see nerds debating about which fucking Star Trek captain was the best or whatever, rather than, I want to murder you because you have different political beliefs than me. Rooster Cogburn says the horse knew the deal and checked out early. I guess that's from Rings of Power.
Rings of Power, yeah.
Victor Ajax, we would all check that at the door and find out how much we all had in common. All of a sudden, we weren't all that different. Yep, very true. Danny Boy says, Drinker, I heard you talking about Tarantino flicks not being so hot lately. Me and my buddy worship The Hateful Eight. Can you and the panel give your thoughts on why it's bad or good? Extended cut for the win. Hateful Eight. I mean, I quite enjoyed it, I guess. Like, I wasn't blown away by it, but thought it was a decent enough movie. Amazing cast, as he always has.
Love the vibe, love the dialogue. The acting is fucking great. But as soon as I found out the whole plan, like how all of that was working from the get-go, I had an overwhelming sense of, wow, you're all intensely retarded. That was your plan. And they could have dominated from the get. Like, it's a blizzard. They're coming in one by one. You've got all the guys in the room, and the guys you want to kill are coming in one by one. You hit them on the head with something heavy, tie them up, wait for the next one to come in. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't. Like, I was like, no way, that's the actual story. That sucks. What I wanted when I was watching it was that all of them were there for different reasons. And one of them had a grudge with one of them. One of them was there because he was on the run from the law. One of them was there because he wanted to rob them all. Just something like that. I thought that would have been way better and much more Tarantino. Not all of them are evil and working for the same person who's under the fucking floorboards. I was like, oh no.
This is, I guess, a bigger question I was going to ask you. Like, where do you stand on Tarantino now as a filmmaker?
So his latest work was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've said on here before that I think that movie's really good. Actually, that might be my submission for a movie I can recognize as really well made, but I just didn't care about it really. I watched it and I was like, meh. It's a good movie, but I just don't have much to say. It wouldn't be one I'd cover because I've just got nothing I'm passionate about it. But I still to this day would watch anything he puts out, just to make sure it's, because it could be amazing. I still love several of his movies.
Yeah. Do you think he's getting better or worse as time is passing?
Probably worse.
Yeah.
But nowhere near as much of a drop as like James Cameron or Ridley Scott.
No. Mikey Likes It says, The Critical Drinker, have you considered doing another interview? I met Robert Patrick in Qatar and he's personable and rather badass. Also, I missed the White Hart Inn in Edinburgh. Cheers. Nice. Yeah, Robert Patrick. Yes, I would happily interview him. I mean, I've got a few that I'm working on at the moment. It's just like, I can't just go through fucking Hollywood actors and be like, you, and then just get them and bring them on. You have to negotiate these things. So, but yeah, I'm definitely up for doing more. Living Jar Cletus says, this has been a great stream. Shout out to the mods. Thank you. And yeah, definitely shout out to my mods. They do an awesome job. And they are kept very busy on these streams. When you've got like 10, 12,000 people watching live, they have a lot to sift through, and they always do a great job. So much appreciated. Scabs says, Drinker, you talk a lot about how unlikable the characters are now. What about the anti-heroes of the 70s? How do you do unlikable characters right? Okay, so some of it comes down to the actors that you've got. If you've got someone like Robert De Niro doing like, Taxi Driver or whatever, the performance that he's going to give you is going to elevate that character anyway. But yeah, the other aspect of it is just knowing how to write them. There's obviously when you're doing an anti-hero, the whole point is like, well, they can have light and dark about them. They can do bad things because they're a conflicted character. I guess the point I'm making is like when they try to portray heroes now, they generally come across as just unlikable and arseholes because the writers now are so incompetent they can't even do likable heroes. Never mind anti-heroes that you're interested in. I guess that's just the difference in writing from the sort of genre movies of the 1970s to the blockbuster movies of today is just like, I don't know, man. It's like comparing a Rembrandt to a fucking child's finger painting. You know, they're so radically different.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's we don't have the same caliber of actors now. I don't think we don't like, as we discussed the other night, particularly because sets are so like guarded now against offending anyone or putting the actors out or making them uncomfortable. You don't get the same intensity of performance that you used to get, and yeah, we don't have these really driven auteur directors that we used to have back, you know, in the 70s and the 80s that we have now. So all of those things are just working against us now to get those kind of performances. John Goetz says, "Look on the bright side, Muller. You inspired me to reward Warner Brothers with $60 to play it myself. I want that platinum trophy for my collection." I guess that's got to be Gollum.
No. Well, good for you. If you want to defeat that challenge, you go right ahead.
Phil Sunderland says, "People accuse Resident Evil 5 of being racist because you shoot Africans, but in 4 you shoot Spanish and nobody got to their defense." That's true. They want diversity and representation, and Capcom deliver 14 years ago a game that takes place entirely in a different and less visited country in video games, and those people are still fucking complaining. Not my favorite Resident Evil game, but I respect more the effort. I'm tired of the woke mob. They don't buy and play video games, and they don't even buy and support their own garbage. Sorry for the rant. I love you guys. Love listening to you all, and cheers. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, man, it's funny how this kind of outrage only ever goes in one direction. So yeah,
Poor Spaniards.
yeah, I do like the idea that, like, you know, this can be more or less in the present day, but if you go into rural Spain, it's basically like the 15th century in terms of like technology and stuff
Yeah.
they're using. Rift Magos says, "It's the preciestest." Thank you.
Mm.
Betty Ford says, "Drinker, have you ever seen the film The Grabbers? Irish Island village has to slay drunk to avoid alien passion." What the fuck? No, I haven't seen The Grabbers, I'm afraid. Sorry. Caspinus says, "Mauler, Golem killed Metal. I hope you're happy."
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I don't think I think Metal survived it, but I don't know about his sanity based on that video. Beard says, "I love that you all brought up the Tooth Fairy and the Mummy. Those are the only things that I know The Rock from." What about Doom? He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Chris B says, "That wasn't Tarzan, it was Jungle Book with John Cleese and a very young Lena Headey." Damn, okay. John Papa Sergio says, "The Legend of Tarzan in 2016 with Alexander Skarsgård happened." Apparently it did, yeah. We just didn't know about it. Talon Hayabusa says, "Drinker, I started going back and watching older TV shows due to the garbage that is being put out. I decided to rewatch Grimm. I forgot how good it was. All 6 seasons. Have you ever watched it?" I haven't watched Grimm, I'm afraid. I don't know about it.
Yeah, another one.
Right. Zed Mangos says, "I love Alan Ritchson as an actor, but every time I see him in shows, I just think of Thad from Blue Mountain State." Everyone keeps bringing up Blue Mountain State. See, I don't have that baggage, so I just see him as, like, Reacher mostly. Lunatic Fringe says, "Hail Drinker, I will be visiting Scotland in September. Any recommendations on places to visit? Also, shout out to Disparu for making such entertaining reviews of the entertainment void that is Gotham Knights." Yeah, I think he's gradually lost his sanity doing that, but yeah. Yeah, with Scotland, damn man, it's like I've said to people before, like definitely see Edinburgh because like it's very picturesque. There's loads of great places to like tour around there, like castles, museums, all that great stuff. Lots of amazing restaurants and bars and all that stuff. You want to see Glasgow as well, just for the industrial heritage, and it's like a huge city compared to Edinburgh. And then head up into the Highlands, go to like, you know, go up as far as Inverness if you can. There's plenty of nice scenery to see in between. Bender says, "Can you start your live stream about an hour early so I can pretend to be working instead of pretending to talk to my wife over the breakfast table?" I mean, I'd like to, I suppose. It's just those pesky Americans, they start at different times
Ruining
from us.
everything.
Yeah. Jake says Disparu is criminally underrated, and so is Doctor Strangelove. Candidate for Drinker recommends if you're a fan. I mean, yeah, it's less relevant now, I guess, because we're not living through the Cold War. But Doctor Strangelove was pretty amazing for its time. Yeah, performances were awesome. Yeah, the satire of it is really good, and yeah, it's a fun movie. It's fun and chilling and horrific all at once. So yeah, I like Doctor Strangelove. I don't know if you've got any thoughts, Mower.
I haven't seen it since I was super young, so my dad showed me it, so
Yeah,
I need to rewatch it.
it's good one. It's good fun. Sorry. Brian Burrows gave me £1 or dollar, thank you. Living Jar Cletus says Oppenheimer is rated R. I wonder how it will affect box office return. No one's first R rated since Insomnia. Well, I mean, it's a pretty like dry subject, if you know what I mean. It's not like in some action packed, um, you know, movie or a comic book film like the Dark Knight trilogy or anything. So I think it was going to be a fairly select audience that we're going to see it anyway. So if it's
Mhm.
R rated, I don't think it's going to affect it too much. It does make me wonder what the fuck it'll be R rated for. Like sex, nudity.
I think that
Can't
might be it.
can't be much
I think
violence in it. It's just
unless they show somehow contextualize like the victims of like and how it looks, that could get it. But I don't know about that. Like, what do you think of the prospects of that in the box office?
probably not great. I think they imagine it's going to be a much bigger deal than it turns out to be. I think it's going to get good reviews, and I think it's actually going to be a really good movie. I just don't think it's going to have mass appeal.
I have a distinct feeling that everyone's going to agree it's good. It's just long, and that the performances are top notch, and that it really gets you to understand the gravity of the situation, and blah blah blah. But that we shouldn't have expected anything else for the box office, and that someone will probably make a comment about how the public need to be better with their attention spans or something.
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
that's just the inevitable result of this.
yep. I tend to agree. Kathleen Kennedy's Kill Squad, nice, says Kathleen has announced a Gollum streaming series. Gollum is now female. The One Ring is a white cis man, and Gollum will destroy it. You go, Gollum. Yes, you
You
go,
go,
girl.
Gollum.
Re-
Gollum.
Girlum. Red Fox says, my friend took his daughter to see The Little Mermaid, and he thinks that bird rape was the best thing that he's ever heard. He's been deaf since birth. It's funny because he wrote rape, but I think he meant to say rap. I think I'm going to keep it as it was, bird rape. Fuck it, I could end the stream there actually. Chris Nicholson says Tenant reminds me of those concept houses that receive high praise, and then you notice that it's impossible to heat and has no toilet. Maybe there are some cool ideas, but how genius can it be if it fails at its basic purpose? Yeah, I mean, Tenet was a frustrating as fuck movie. It really was.
Still haven't seen it.
Oh man.
There's just been no recommendations, and every person that's praised it has said it's not supposed to make any sense. Which I don't know if you
Yeah,
know,
fuck
but that's
that.
like poison to me. Like, oh, it's not supposed to make sense. Cool.
Yeah. I could get that if it was some crazy surrealist art house thing, where it's
Oh yeah,
just
there are
absurdist.
contexts where that could work, but I know what they're talking about. They mean there's insane rules about reversing time in that film, and you are never going to understand it.
Yeah. But it
That's what they
should
mean.
make sense. Like the Christopher Nolan movies are predicated on the grounding in scientific reality. Like that's the payoff to all of it. Sean Calloway says, having a director with a unique look isn't inherently bad. If I hear an opening guitar or drum riff and I recognize it as Metallica, is that bad? No, I mean, it was... Because this is an interesting one. I guess it was like an idea I was posing to the group and to chat as well. Like, do you want to have a director like Spielberg who's pretty versatile and he can make a whole bunch of different movies with different emotional tones and looks and feels? Or do you just want someone who's super specific and recognizable, like Snyder or like Villeneuve? I don't know. I just think it's an interesting point of comparison, I suppose. Does it
Yeah,
point
I
to
get what you're
greater or
saying.
lesser skill?
I mean, there's going to be people might go as far as saying Michael Bay makes the same movie over and over again, or I was about to say who's behind like all the Fast movies, but I think they're different directors, so then they're not even the same. There's just there are times where we'll be like they've just made that movie again, and that's a criticism, not a compliment. Versus someone like Spielberg who has made so many different amazing films. It's kind of like wow, you're pretty capable. Mike Flanagan, for example, I can't see why anybody would hire him to do anything but horror now.
Yeah.
To the point where if someone said he's doing an action romance, you'd be like, okay, why? And it's that like it's funny. That's like it's gone backwards now. You want them to be able to do more things. You hope they can do more things. Edgar Wright, obviously, we talked about how he was trying to handle arguably a horror, a mystery, or whatever, and I don't know if that's because he can't handle the genre or if he just wasn't feeling it that day for writing, but it just didn't seem to match his skill. Meanwhile,
Mm.
people can surprise you. You can have a director who's not known for doing expert like Peter Jackson was definitely not known for doing Lord of the Rings before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Look how
Yeah.
that worked out. So, it's just a matter of I think you'll prefer a Spielberg over a Snyder, and I don't mean that to compare those two specifically, just the skill sets that they are alleged to have. I assume that.
I love how you say alleged.
Of course, I'm not referring to Spielberg when I say alleged.
Gotta love that soft focus. I don't want to see any background.
That's some British wit right there.
Quintessential Fuzz says Prestige and Insomnia are based off of books. Oppenheimer is based on a biography called American Prometheus. I'm fairly confident in it being good. I'm pretty confident too. I
I
think
think
it'll be alright.
the logic being that Nolan is better when he's adapting,
Hmm.
which I'm inclined to agree with. Sure.
John Goetz says Miyazaki and Makoto Shinkai evolve. Both have common themes over their careers, but Miyazaki has darker themes and more action in later films, while Shinkai has been getting more comedic, less melancholy films while making amazing romantic films still. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Sam Wallace Art says, watch Danny Boyle's The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tilda Swinton. Peak 2000s filmmaking with rock-solid character work satirizing new age surf tourism culture met with a dose of reality. Yeah, I remember The Beach being alright, actually.
I do remember
Yeah,
that. I don't know if I ever saw it though.
yeah, it's quite cool. Because it kind of plays on this, like, bunch of, like, fairly vapid students and stuff like going on their gap year and just like touring the world and like washing up at this place, and it all seems to be very much like a utopia where everyone just kind of does their own thing and everyone's in harmony, and then it all kind of goes wrong, and they you get to things revealed about certain characters, I guess, that like shatter that, and they can never go back to what they had before.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. Jeremy David says the best adaptation is J. Jonah Jameson. Fuck yeah.
Oh, they mean are they talking about the casting choice, like the definitive? I saw people saying that one. That's a very like nobody can play that again now because
Yeah,
it's yeah.
you can't follow that one up. Silver says, hey Drinker and Mauler, I'd love to see a more fantastical iteration of Batman, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, etc. in the DCU. How would you introduce Lazarus Pit in the DCU? I don't know how they're going to do fucking any of it at this point. I mean,
Yeah, and I don't think it's hard to do at a neutral, but when you got that universe that you're building for, it's like
I would
whatever,
love to
just
see,
throw it in at this point, right?
I mean, legit, I would love to see Zack Snyder's take on Mr. Freeze.
Yes, that would be funny.
Dark Ultra says there's a video called Critical Race Theory, Gender Queer Theory, and Maoist Education that explains a lot of why the world is the way it is today. Damn, okay. And last one is James Johnson, who says, hey Mauler and Drinker, last episode you were talking about Scuttlebutt and how you've retreated to the dark depths of metal. It leaves me wondering, what's your go-to genres of music or bands? Thanks for all of the stream, lads.
Do you want to
Yeah,
go
I think
first?
you were mentioning. Yeah, you kind of gone into the obscure sort of genres of metal.
Well, so my go-to I've said before, is symphonic and power metal. They're my favorites. Um,
Yep.
bands would be like Avantasia, Rhapsody of Fire, and Powerwolf. They're like my top 3 right now. What about you, Drink It?
I mean, what does Sabaton fall under? Is that like war metal or something?
I think that's
I
power
guess
metal.
kind of. Power, yeah, I guess so. I can go with that. Yeah, so I very much enjoyed that. I actually saw them play in Glasgow just like a month or so ago. That was great fun. And Ailstorm is still a favorite of mine, and that's like pirate metal. That's like its own little tiny subgenre. But that's just
Mm.
great fun. Like they're talking about drinking and like sailing the high seas and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, metal
Um,
subgenres are enormous. It goes to like,
yeah,
goblin death metal you'll have in there at some point.
basically pick any word and
Yeah.
put like metal after it, and there'll probably be a genre of it. I can pretty much guarantee. But it's amazing how just like how good the atmosphere is at all of these gigs. Like you kind of imagine a
Mm.
metal fan as being like a big like burly guy with a beard and a shaved head and like tattoos and shit. And that kind of is the case, but like they're just super nice. Like they're pretty chill. Yeah, I like it. Um, but yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of our epic journey
That's
into the world of
it.
super chats. So thank you all of you guys for these extremely generous chats, and
Yeah.
we appreciate it. Hopefully we've answered all your questions, and yeah, the next time you see us, we'll do the next open bar on Thursday.
Mm.
But in the meantime, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.